We starting?
6 o'clock, everybody ready? Dave's gonna be late tonight.
Oh, okay.
Mayor Dave, yes. Good evening. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the Verona Borough Supercommittee Workshop Meeting of 17 February 2026. Please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please, Mr. Daly.
Councilman Spurlin,
Present.
Councilman Dumelis,
Present.
Councilwoman Rodriguez,
Present.
Dr. Carpenter,
Present, also a councilwoman.
Councilwoman Provenza,
Present.
Councilman Long is absent, and President Renza.
Present. Thank you. There are no registered comments from the public, so we will move on to comments from the public. At this time, council will hear comments on public-related matters. Please approach the podium or raise your virtual hand. State your name and address and limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Comments should focus on borough business, policies, or actions. Council encourages thoughtful feedback on decisions and performance while maintaining respectful and constructive dialogue. Hi, Sandy.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Sandy for Vicky Bell. I just need some clarification on the last meeting, which was last Tuesday, regarding the borough manager's report for 8 city number 2, which reads garden club request for DPW hanging basket watering / payment. There's a remark made, and I'm not sure who made the remark, that there was a $1,000 donation. I'm wondering if that was a $1,000 donation from borough to club, or was it club to borough? In addition, I was wondering if the request is for DPW to both hang the baskets and water the baskets. In addition, I was wondering who is paying for DPW's time and the water. And my last question there was, why wasn't this put forth as a motion with a roll call vote? I mean, I have my suspicions as to why, but I'd like to hear from you. You are changing contractual duties and job descriptions. If DPW has this kind of free time, do we really need 3 employees there? Maybe not. What happens when there's a conflict between DPW's borough responsibility in a conflict with the club schedule? What happens if there's an accident? If the DPW individual gets tangled up in the hose and falls and breaks a leg or an arm or ribs or whatever, and can't work for an extended time within the borough? Okay, I understand that Jason consulted with the DPW and they have time to do this. However, you are the employer. You detail the responsibilities, not vice versa. In addition to that, I was wondering, has anyone on council consulted with the labor lawyer who's on retainer if this is appropriate or not? I'm just saying, council needs to refer to the Pennsylvania Ethics Commission's definition on conflict of interest, because there are representatives of the council who are also representatives of the garden club. And if it was put to a motion, those people might not have been able to abstain. It wasn't put to a motion, it just slid through. So like, I don't understand
You have 10 seconds, Sandy.
where the transparency is happening here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And you're okay if I set my time up for you as well, right?
Jason, why don't we work on getting a detailed response together for Sandy's questions? I know we have various pieces of that, but that way it's a fully comprehensive reply.
Sure.
Perfect. Thank you. Are there other public comments? Anything on Zoom that you could see? Okay, very good. Without further ado, we will actually be moving on to discussion items. The first item, item A, is committee report on priorities. This will be a continuation of our earlier super committee workshop exercises that we did with our wonderful consultant, Tracy Holst.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, council, for having me again and working through this exercise. I thought it was really fun. I'm just wondering how.
Can you turn it on, please?
Oh, the mic.
The mic.
Oh, is it off?
Yeah, I think so. I forgot to ask Cindy to turn it on.
Okay, behind- oh.
You just put that all the way to the top,
Hello? Hello?
all the way up to the top.
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's better. Yep,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
okay, yep, absolutely. So anyways, thank you for having me. If you recall, we did this exercise with the priorities and everything like that. And I'm going to turn it over to Trish to talk a little bit about,
There's no.
it's a delay. Okay, sorry. To talk a little bit about the my fault. There we go. All right, here we go. So Trish, you want to take it away and you can start us off and then I'll kick in after this?
Yes, thank you, Tracy. We'll probably be picking it back and forth and across the board tonight. I introduced the committee titles and who is on them at our last council meeting. Being tonight is the super committee workshop meeting, and we will be deep diving into the committee priorities for this year and beyond. I wanted to spend some time going over the scope of each committee. So the first committee is a new committee. It's the Executive and Administration Committee. This captures a lot of the sort of behind the scenes tasks that often fall on the president in a more formal and transparent manner. So the scope of the Executive and Administration Committee, which is headed by myself with the Vice President and the President Pro Tem, is oversight of operations and personnel, responsible for overseeing borough operations, intergovernmental coordination, and refining council business procedures. It also incorporates strategic liaison roles. It will act, the committee or the members will act as the primary connections to regional organizations, as we already often do, like the ACBA, hopefully Connect eventually, possibly ALOM. I know Sylvia also represents us with that. But also like the COG, the Council of Government, and attending local municipality meetings, such as attending Oakmont meetings periodically. So there's a number of priorities, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Does anyone have any questions about the scope of that committee? If not, I'll move right along to the second committee, Finance, Grants, and Long-Term Fiscal Planning. This is headed by Nancy with John and myself participating. So this committee will encompass long-term fiscal sustainability, focusing on budgeting practices, spending efficiency, and managing the borough's capital fund, as well as pensions. It will also incorporate grant management strategy, managing a grant schedule and timeline to leverage external funding in place of borough funds whenever possible, and also ensuring that we have the appropriate matches for these grants. Any questions on finance? I think most of us are pretty familiar with finance. The next committee will be headed by Councilman Gamelis, which is Communication and Community Engagement. Responsible for transparency and accessibility, it will oversee borough communications and platforms, including providing input for the website, social media, and assisting with text alerts. It will also incorporate a better mechanism for resident feedback loops, coordinating with a new citizens advisory board to develop systems for gathering feedback and ensuring our ordinances are public facing, such as being placed on Eco 360 in a timely manner. That one will also have participation from Kelly and Curtis. Are there any questions on that one? Next is Committee 4, Planning and Active Transportation. This committee will focus on planning, largely including connectivity and pedestrian safety, investigating sidewalk systems and community connectivity with a specific focus on development, including our riverfront development. It will focus on sustainable growth, incorporating sustainability as a guiding principle for long-term planning, as well as assisting with the development of a comprehensive plan and commercial corridor development. Just a couple of things there. Are there any questions on that committee? That one is currently led by Curtis and with participation from myself. The fifth committee, Infrastructure and Public Safety. This one is headed by Tim with participation from Curtis. This committee is responsible for core infrastructure maintenance. So maintaining an active inventory of all borough-owned assets, including our roads, and working towards a road pavement plan in coordination with our staff, of course. This will also oversee road signage, as well as the development of emergency preparedness planning. So coordinating with emergency management and public safety staff to strengthen access routes and safety planning for the borough, including things like our most recent weather emergencies. Any questions on infrastructure and public safety? The last but certainly not least committee is committee number 6, Parks and Recreation Inclusion and Quality of Life. This is headed by Kelly with participation from Sylvia and Nancy. This committee will focus on community well-being and accessibility. It will oversee some park and recreational amenities, as well as looking at things like ADA accessibility and compliance. It will also have a focus on neighborhood beautification efforts, including addressing blight removal, as well as responsible stewardship to enhance resident quality of life. Any questions on parks and recreation, inclusion, and quality of life? Okay. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you. It's a lot of committees, but some good committees, some really good committees. So, and again, just to put it in perspective, I'm gonna go through the committees. When we did that one exercise with the Post-its, if you all recall, we had the short term, which was the 3 to 6 months, midterm, which was 6 to 12 months, and the long term, which was 12 to 18 months. So what I have done is I've basically taken everything that we did and tried to categorize it into the different committees. And I did this with Trish and the executive committee and stuff like that. But again, what Trish and what we talked about is this is still open for discussion. We'll still kind of look at it. We'll still kind of review it. If you are heading a committee and you feel like this shouldn't be in your wheelhouse or it should be somewhere else, again, bring that up. We'll kind of address that and we'll talk through it and everything like that. Because we just try to categorize what we thought might fit. There are some different projects from what we did the strategic planning session that will be overlapped between committees. And that is kind of like a key thing that we've talked about too, because there will be 2 committees touching certain things. So I'm going to move to the next slide. I know there's a delay, so I don't want to click it again.
You're good. While we're waiting for that, we wanted to have the committee head or chair read all of the priorities for the audience, if everyone is comfortable with that. So
It's moving. I'm seeing it move on the screen, but it's just not keeping up on here for some.
Okay.
There it goes.
that's okay, Council. You'll also have this in your packet as well. Oh, there it is.
No, it went too far.
Maybe we shouldn't mess with it because by the time we're ready for it, it'll be on that one.
Just say, Jason, next slide, please.
Yeah, what Trish said. So Trish, you are the first committee.
Perfect.
So if you notice, like I said, I broke it down between short term, midterm, and long term. But if you want to go ahead and like read what was identified and then we can open it for discussion or whatever you think.
Perfect. I'll just kind of read it by column as you have it organized. So as Tracy already said, this derives directly from the Post-it brainstorm exercise that everyone participated in January. Again, Tracy compiled it for us, highlighting the items that were most frequently occurring, and this is how we have our list of priorities. So now what we're doing tonight is sorting them into the most appropriate committee. If anyone disagrees with things as they are, feel free to speak up. This is open to evolving and shifting to where things are most appropriate. So for our newly defined executive and administration committee, again, with Nancy, John, and myself, the short-term goals, that's 3 to 6 months that we came up with, are hopefully hiring a borough manager, initiating talks with Oakmont, implementing the Supercommittee structure, woohoo, check, insurance renewal, looking at the DPW contract, which will come up later this year, the police pension funding, and the junior council project assignment. Midterm goals include looking into the Connect program and membership for that, and determining the training requirements and a process for staff as well as council members.
And again, just to kind of touch on this, right now, there are no long-term kind of in the bucket, but that could, again, it's an ever-flowing, ever-changing, evolving type of thing. But at least from the Post-its and the big exercise we did, these are the priorities that we identified. So does anybody have any thoughts on these, any comments? Weigh in?
I don't think we talked yesterday about the HR manual, if we want to bring that back up or maybe table it till we have the borough manager.
Like that idea.
I mean, we could like
Wait, so now we're doing a borough manager?
borough manager or borough secretary, TBD, person in that kind of role. So,
I personally would love to see us, finish that up, the
yeah,
employee handbook.
and with John on the
It's been a
committee, I
year.
think we can,
I was just gonna take, it feels like this,
the
it's
manual.
been like a year and a half.
It's been about
Long
a
time.
year, about a year. It started around this time last year. So, I mean, John is the one who was handling that.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of stuff in there that we have to clean up. Or it's like, well, there was issues with the vacation time, with the bereavement time and. You know, there was the leave that we had issues with,
Yeah.
deciding on what we were gonna do with leave.
Yeah, I think it's a good time to dust it off and it shouldn't take that long now.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because I think, again, I see like, I mean, it's. We'll dust it off and share it with the new council members and get their feedback and everything like that, so.
Do other places have theirs online, but you can?
The
look
employee
at?
handbooks, not all do, no, but I've worked with a number of municipalities on their handbooks and stuff like that, so I kind of have like a template that I've used. It just obviously has to be tweaked for personnel policies and stuff with different municipalities and places, so. All right, so I'm gonna move on.
Would that be a short term or a midterm, do you think?
I would say knowing midterm.
On the low end of midterm.
Yeah, well, I'll make sure I add it. I can find, because I can actually finalize this presentation and then send it out to everybody again, so that you can have it electronically, review it, look at it, again, digest it, whatever you need to do.
So I'm gonna go against what we said earlier and interject now that our goal is for next month for everyone to come back with a timeline for these priorities that we're deciding on tonight. For example, with the HR manual, I was gonna suggest, putting so many chapters on per month for 4 or 5 months till everyone's comfortable with it as a way of moving that forward. So think about timelines as we're going through this.
Yep. Yeah, we talked about that, timelines and deadlines and really kind of putting them in. I mean, we have some timeline here, obviously, 3 to 6 months, 6 to 12, 12 to 18. So you have a little bit of a parameter, but you can really, as a committee head, you can really think about what's next as far as dates and deliverables.
Yep.
I'm not gonna click it again, Jason. I'm gonna wait. There we go. There we go. All right. So Nancy, do you want to go ahead and read the ones for your committee? This is Nancy and John on finance, grants, and long-term fiscal planning.
We added me too.
Oh, and Trish. Okay, I'll make sure I put that on there too.
You're fine.
And this is based on from the Post-it notes that we did last month.
You got it.
Because I
Yeah,
have
the
a
big
couple-
strategic planning exercise we did.
And
Yeah.
I have a couple things that I did to complete the assignment that our
A plus.
president assigned us. So under short term, it says police grant application, which is within that time frame. But on my, what I wrote, one of the things that's very short term, Jason, did we contact PML today about the training that's tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.?
No.
I don't know what we can do about that.
I can try to sign up for it this evening.
Okay. All right. I would like, there's a training on capital planning and budgeting tomorrow morning presented by Pennsylvania Municipal League. And I was hoping to attend that if at all possible. That would be a very short-term goal I have about grant in general, becoming more familiar with the grant process. And also looking at our pension plans and maybe forming a pension plan committee And work with the manager on a first quarter finance report.
Okay, are those all under your short term? Okay. I took note of them.
Okay. I have a couple other things here, but those were the main ones. Midterm, address unnecessary spending to ensure more efficient use of resources. I think I actually had that on short term is also where expenditures could be reduced. So that's great. Analysis of long-term financial obligations. Okay, and I also wrote, in collaboration with the manager, begin work on the 2027 budget. And, work with the manager on the 6 and 9 month finance reports, quarterly reports, basically. And then long-term on here, it says multi-year capital funding framework. That would be good, and it's so funny, because I didn't see this before I wrote mine. And I had final development of 5-year capital improvement plan for long-term,
What did you say? Final development of capital?
a 5-year capital improvement plan. That's why I was hoping to go to this training tomorrow. Because it's all about capital planning and budgeting. So. Those are mine.
So good work adding those. Prior to your additions, I was feeling that this sounded a little general. Obviously, we want to address unnecessary spending. Obviously, we want to have a better analysis of long-term financial obligations, but what does that entail? Pensions comes to mind, definitely capital projects and better funding. For example, can we plan for a fire truck replacement instead of doing a loan? But that's also captured by multi-year capital funding framework. So I don't know. Does that feel general, or do you feel like you have a?
Oh, no, with becoming more familiar with the budgeting process, capital budgeting, and dealing with the quarterly reports and the budget itself for 27, I think there's plenty there to keep me busy.
Definitely. Oh, definitely.
I'm not worried.
Does anybody else on council have any thoughts, perspectives you want to share on the finance? Again, you don't have to, it's time. If you want to, you can. If not, we'll just move on to the next committee.
Well, the only thing I would have to add on that end of it, and I think it kind of ties in with my committee, is that just to stay transparent in terms of where we are with the budget on the website, and provide, if we can, I don't know about real-time information, if we're able to do that, but if we are capable of providing real-time information, it would be wonderful. I've seen Monroeville has a very large staff. Of course, I don't know if we have the capabilities they do, but if we're able to somehow have a better way of communicating where we're at budget-wise to the residents.
Yeah, I just want
You
to
know,
make a comment about
you know.
that. I believe, and I don't know if you've had time, Jason. I know you're very busy, but as we generate finance reports, I know that they generally go on the website within the next few weeks or something. So that information is there. But
I also wanted to comment, I think this is a beautiful overlap between your roles, John, as a
Yes.
person on finance,
Yeah.
as well as communication, because
Yeah.
remember Sandy brought up that great point about having visual representations or a snapshot of our financial picture. The reports are great, but I mean, even to us as counselors are kind of cumbersome, so having like a
Pie chart.
easily digestible
Yeah,
pie chart or, yeah.
That
That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the one thing I know we talked about is the police grant application. I mean, obviously that is a perfect one. It's an example that's going to overlap with infrastructure and public safety too. So it's going to be initiated with the finance committee, but then obviously the infrastructure and public safety will have to be involved in it at some point.
Perfect.
All right. Communication and community engagement. John, you are the lead, so do you want to take it away?
Sure, I made a couple additions to this too, already, but. So the first, short-term goal would be to establish a citizen advisory board. What that would be, is. And as far as the makeup and methodology, how we would select them, yet to be determined, but. The idea would be to have a board of just citizens that would give us feedback as to how we're doing. Just a neutral outside party that would just give us an idea of how we're doing and what we should be doing, or give us advice, and I think it'd be a wonderful thing to have sometimes an extra voice on some decision making. Especially when we're faced with some real critical issues. So, and as far as the makeup of this committee, how many people, how they're selected, yet to be determined. We're not even there yet,
But to your
but we're gonna
point,
work on.
yeah, you can work on the plan for it in the 3 to 6 month period, and
Sure.
then,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, and then even implement it in the 6 to 12 month period, or something of that nature.
But, so that's, we're gonna look at short term and develop that. So that's on our short list. Midterm, update codification in E-code 360. I know we have a lot of things, out there that people have said that, well, I looked in E-code 360.
Yep.
Didn't see it. We have, actually, we also have some conflicting, I think ordinances as well. Things that we've been noticed last year that, we have to update language on.
Mhm.
Stuff that we have to research. There's a lot of work to be done in that respect. So it is something sort of, what you would probably term as a sort of an ordinance committee, if you would call it that, but sort of that somewhat in that respect, where we
No,
would,
Yeah, not like the ordinance writing, but
but,
definitely the
but,
ordinance
but we would review,
keeping.
organize, the ordinances and try to get everything updated, keep everything up to date.
Mhm.
The other thing, that we would like to do midterm is to try to get more, and I don't have it listed unfortunately here, but, get involved in more community outreach engagement through cooperation with local, organizations. And I'm not saying that we're going to be, I'm just saying that we need to be more involved as council people. Within the goings on in the community, myself included. Just to take a deeper dive in around here,
Mhm.
and we need to be more active, I think. And in order to do that, find out what's chamber doing, what's. What are some of the local events going on? And I think it's very important for us to be engaged with some of the folks around here and get noticed, and that's why we can understand, and when we do that, we're out talking to people. And that's how we kind of get a better understanding of what their pain points are. When we're up here all the time, I don't think we're able to really, we don't get to go out and talk with everyone all the time. We're also busy and we have our lives, they have their lives. When these events are what bring us together sometimes,
Mhm.
so. Also, the other item, midterm. Receiving quarterly reports from other committees on their projects to create a council's corner in the Verona newsletter.
Mhm.
So another item that, I've had was, sort of a, I don't want to say complaint, but an observation someone made last year was, why isn't council putting something in a newsletter? As far as what they're doing and what projects they're working on, that kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, that's a good point,
Mhm.
we should be doing that.
Mhm.
So I think that we should all have our committees every quarter. We'll make just a brief summary. What have we worked on? What are we doing? What have we done? And what are we planning on doing? Just 3 things. Send it off. We'll write we'll write a little article. We'll send it off to the newsletter.
Mhm.
Just to keep everybody informed of what we're doing. Long term,
There was nothing, there's nothing, yeah, that's.
Oh, man.
There's nothing,
anyway.
there's nothing posted for long
No,
term.
no, I have something for long term.
Okay, perfect.
Maintaining the borough website, message boards, and social media pages with need-to-know information on a timely basis to ensure transparency. Okay? And of course, obtaining feedback through the advisory board and / public.
Good.
All right, I capture that. Yeah, and I know we talked about too, some of the other things like this, again, the communication committee is going to be responsible for is, again, like you said, and you captured it, collecting information from other committees, social media, website, and sharing information with communities. So
And
you
we've already,
identified it.
and we've already created the citizen complaint form, which is
Mhm.
half the battle there, but that's just for the complaints. The other half is just getting the feedback on some policy stuff that maybe we should be doing, or, having the public engaged in the decision-making process.
Yeah.
I love that you have the form ready as your foundation. So now it's just getting it out there and getting people to use it. That's great.
And any feedback, I'm sorry, I moved too quick, but any feedback on John's committee from anyone? Okay, all right. We'll move on to planning and active transportation with Curtis as the lead and Trish. So, and I actually do want to put in perspective. So like when we went through this exercise and we did all the Post-its and stuff like that, these were the priorities. Like I can't, like, I don't, and I know Trish and I talked about, we don't want one committee to think, oh, well, this committee has like 100 things to do and this committee has only like 3 things to do, because there's going to be ongoing things that are going to be involved with the committee, and there's going to be things that come up during the year. So I think that because even this looks a little small, but like, Curtis, you're going to probably have your hands full. So go ahead. You want to read what we kind of identified and take it from there?
Yeah. Midterm goal, address blight in the community, and then a long-term goal, riverfront development and a comprehensive plan. I'm still working on, some short-term goals, so.
Yeah.
To be continued on that.
But I think like the blight in the community, like we talked about, it was going to overlap with, the parks, recreation, and quality of life. But like your committee is really going to have to develop like what's going to be the plan, and then it's going to be handed over to another committee.
But let me ask you a question. But why is his then 6 months and mine's 3 months? Why would his should be?
Sorry, I got that backwards, Kelly. I'm so sorry. You're going to be your committee might work on the plan and then hand it over to him. Or again, and this is literally open for discussion and a work in
You had it
progress.
right. Yeah, we were saying we have the longer term plan for blight mitigation. So
Okay.
yeah, that shouldn't be in 6 to 12. I would say 6 to 12, like earlier, is like the timeline for putting together how we're gonna develop a plan for that. But obviously a plan won't be written in that period of time. I mean, I'd be thrilled if it was, but so that one should definitely be probably the plan in that period, but that's more of a long-term goal, much like riverfront development.
Which will probably be on beyond the 18 months that you're talking about.
Definitely.
Yeah, so,
These are all
but-
guesstimates and there's a lot of overlap. And I think the idea of us being a super committee is that we are working all together. And we're just trying to figure out how to pigeonhole some of this stuff, but it'll all become apparent as, you know, as time moves on and things, people find their niche of what they want to do and then, you know, so nothing's, what am I trying to say? Nothing is
Set in
exact.
stone,
Set
yeah.
in stone, exactly.
Yeah.
I was going to add that, I think we had it in the post-its, but probably didn't rise to the top, because maybe only one or two of us knew about it, but regarding the 25 MTF, the Multimodal Transportation Fund for Jones Street improvements and streetscape, Rep McAndrew does want to do a walkthrough with residents and business owners who may be interested of Jones Street. So scheduling that, Kurt, I'm gonna add to you and the committee
For short term.
Short term.
for short term. And for short as well as long term, Rep McAndrew has offered to assist us with catalyzing the VOP project by pursuing a feasibility study for an off-viaduct connection. So we will want to look at funding in the short term to fund
Thank you.
the feasibility work for an alternative to compare apples to apples.
Okay, I put that under long-term for now, feasibility study.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things where it's like we would have to apply for funding late spring, but then it would be long term.
So then it might go into mid and long-term, both.
Let's just put it
Just
everywhere.
be there. Next year and a half.
The feasibility study would happen after the grant, basically.
And the other nice thing, Kurt, we do have an active transportation plan. It's our only borough plan in recent years. So we should sit down and take a look at that together because I'm sure there's some low-hanging fruit that we could tackle with the committee. And did you apply for something? I forget. I sent you that information about the Walkability Institute. I couldn't remember if you applied for it.
Is that the through the health department?
Yes.
Is that what
Yeah.
that was?
Yeah, I think I sent you two. Anyway, we may be pursuing additional training and resources.
Okay.
Apologies in advance for all the emails I sent.
No. it's-
All right, we're gonna move on to infrastructure and public safety. I know Tim is not here. Curtis or Sylvia, do you want to read the slide?
This one is just Kurt and Tim, so we'll go to Kurt.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Sorry, I think we might have tweaked these later.
Okay, sorry,
Yeah.
I will take Sylvia off there, yes.
Thank you.
All right. Short term, we have a police grant application and a salt pile.
Hmm.
Midterm, cameras and continued development and maintenance of parks, roads and general infrastructure. And then long term, to begin a paving plan.
Any thoughts on that, comments, any adds, additions?
Well, Sylvia, if you wanted to be on the committee, I didn't mean to exclude you. I wasn't sure if that was aligning with your interests and your other roles as liaison, but we could have two or three. You can think about it. Yeah.
I was wondering if beginning a paving plan might want to start earlier than a year from now.
Well, really, because we have to do an updated road inventory, because since the robotics thing, we've done a ton of paving, so we don't have an inventory.
Well, isn't the information still in the office from the robotics assessment?
I'm saying it's fairly out of date considering the amount of paving we've done since it was done, what, 3 or 4 years ago? So we probably need an updated inventory. I don't know if there's a robotics equivalent that can do that.
Well, the nice thing is the stamp can pay for that.
Yes.
So,
Going into next phase.
yeah.
Okay.
Think about that.
That's awesome.
Okay.
And the salt pile, we've been talking about that for a long, long time. I don't know if we can move it in 6 months, but I sure would love to do it.
Back to your point about the paving plan, Nancy, though, I think we could minimally identify what robotics called the red or number 5 roads
Yeah.
that are still
Not
outstanding.
paved, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we could probably capture the worst pretty readily ourselves and with community input.
On the old,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
do you want to move that, like, do what we did with the other ones, like put it maybe 6 to 12 months and 12 to 18?
Love that.
Okay.
Okay, sorry to move the topic.
No, you're fine. You're fine. This is what this is all about, right, Nance? I mean,
Oh, you guys are gonna be working on police grant application with me.
yeah, well, remember, you're gonna initiate it and then it's gonna go to the Infrastructure and Public Safety Committee, so.
But yeah, back to the salt pile.
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is. We've tried and failed and tried and failed. But we really don't want it next to the river where it's at, so we need to see if Tim and Curtis and maybe Sylvia or anybody else.
Yeah.
Citizens, whoever has ideas of what we can do with this salt pile.
We also identified a volume issue through the last snow
Oh,
series, so we need to
right.
increase the capacity for our future
Right.
site.
Increase, no, increase.
Okay.
Yeah, so we need a bigger storage area somewhere other than by the river.
Like 20% was recommendation,
120.
120.
120, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. All right, the last one, is the Parks and Recreation, Inclusion and Quality of Life. Kelly, do you want to go ahead and read them?
Yeah, 6 months is the same thing that Trish just had for. You said it. Okay. The address plan for blight in the community. 6 to 12 months, ADA compliance swings in the parks, fixed law. 12 to 18 months, social worker for police.
Any thoughts, comments?
We were discussing that we did complete a sidewalk inventory circa 2021. So if we can track that down, that's a useful foundation for some of the sidewalk planning efforts, including ADA compliance. Last meeting, we had a resident, Kelly Collins, offered to donate an ADA compliance swing, but we need to develop a process, probably with the Parks and Recreation Board, for donations of playground equipment. We haven't had that before, but similarly, they developed a process for unifying donations of park benches. We were having people donate a wood bench and then a plastic bench. So they developed a set of standards. I'm
If we can
hoping
find the policy, we can
Tracy's
use it.
working on that. We will find it. But similarly, I'm hoping that, who knows, maybe this will happen in the future where we have people who want to donate things to enhance our parks. And so we'll have some kind of guidelines for how that can be done. What are the requirements for selection and other things? So yeah, probably Parks and Rec Board, probably Matt. I don't know if there's others. And then social worker for police. I know a number of us were excited about this. Curtis, I don't know if you might have the most to say about that right now.
I'm still exchanging some emails back and forth, so I'll follow up on it though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's exciting.
Yeah.
But as I said before, 2 years ago at Local Government Academy, John, I'm not sure if you were there for that particular presentation, but the woman from Hampton, is her name Amy? Remember her? She came here and did a little presentation, Amy Downs.
You should go more,
She was from where?
more.
I think I was there.
What?
You said Dormont.
Amy's a,
Oh, then I'm thinking of a different person, because this person was from Hampton.
Okay.
They were talking about their social worker
Yeah.
program, and that there are people who are coming out of school who are interested, who would be like an intern, it would be basically free. So
Amazing.
that's something to look into. I'm pretty sure that can be looked into through Joy Reid.
That was also brought up about having somebody come out of college to do. Jason's doing kind of on a job training type, so we don't have to pay them $90,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, I know it's usually a grant but if it's gonna get in the way of us getting another grant, then obviously, I mean, we might want to weigh the pros and cons of, what we want, what we don't.
That exact discussion would be excellent for a future super committee
Yeah.
discussion, because I think we are uniquely situated with our finances. Yet our visions and goals that we want to capitalize on opportunities such as looking for an apprenticeship, so to speak, where we can pay less, but have someone who's growing and developing for that and probably a number of other things that we want to do.
Cause we were going to have, well. Our last, remember she said that she wanted to have the people that were volunteering do our code book and update it.
Oh, the LGA intern. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think we got one this year.
Like, I like how you guys are thinking, because if there are citizens that want to help with some of these efforts, we don't have a process yet, but we could certainly develop one to catalyze some of these projects. I like it. Yeah, no LGA intern.
Right,
Any,
we just want select board this year.
okay.
We had one 2 years in a row, and so maybe they thought some other town that hasn't had one, they, got priority.
Nancy will touch on this later, but we will have officially soon a junior council person. So think if there's pieces that we could,
Too.
probably two, yeah. So if there's pieces that they could help with, keep those in mind. Okay.
I think my ordinance is lost because I was told to find it, of which I'm not gonna do.
Your what is lost? Here.
My ordinance that I passed a few years ago.
Okay, so it's not lost, but there is definitely some confusion. So and correct me, but it's like not legally required to update an E-code 360. It's just a best practice. So it's like we pass it. It exists, but it may not be there.
Yeah, so we,
But how is he supposed to enforce it as?
Correct.
Yes.
so
Still an
yeah,
issue.
the E-code is really just the, the library of where all of the ordinances are, but then what also happens whenever you go through codification is that, when an ordinance does get adopted, they compare it to other ones that have been adopted previously to determine if there's any conflicts with it and, updates that might be needed in another ordinance. And so when you don't do that, you just have this big list of ordinances that are at the beginning of the E-code. When you log in, you'll see that now in the index. There's like maybe 4 or 5 ordinances that are there currently, just sitting there waiting to be codified. And then once you request that, there's a fee to that, which we did write for in the stamp grant as well. So it would be good to kind of wait to do these all at once, because they're, it can be a pricey project to do that. A lot of communities will try to do that if you adopt a lot of ordinances once a year, but honestly here, you don't adopt ordinances all the time, so it's not as pressing.
What was the one that we found last year? Vince was telling us about, where we have to, I think we still have to fix it.
I can't remember if it was a conflict or just some ambiguity
It wa-
between what the two.
Yeah, there was the language needed to be,
Oh,
uh,
154 and 174.
yes,
Remember the numbers?
Yes.
Oddly specific.
Topic.
Yes.
What's it?
it had something to do with the commercial buildings,
Oh,
I gotta go back and look at it. But the language, there
agree.
was something regarding the language on it, but that's just an example of that, where, there's a lot of them in there that we have to.
it actually, I think, had to do with blight a little bit.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
blighted, but it
Blighted.
blighted commercial buildings.
Blighted,
It was, well,
vacant properties
Vacant-
versus vacant buildings.
yeah,
on a
but
vacant
yeah,
property.
yeah.
Yeah,
But it was more geared towards on the commercial side though, from what I understand.
Tom, did you have any recollection of that?
I do want to add something to work firm. We didn't noise ordinance. We don't have one.
Oh,
Yes, we don't. I don't understand how, or some things that come off of these.
so you're saying do a party now?
Actually, we,
The general sense, under the disorderly conduct section, unreasonable noise, you could get that, but we could be more restrictive, like you can't have music past 10 o'clock, you can't do this, and that. That's very encompassing. Just generalized disorderly conduct, unreasonable.
Ever since we went digital with the ordinances, a lot of them have been misplaced, lost, or whatever.
I went through and went go back to the nineties, I couldn't find them.
We did, I thought we did at one point, because we had a, I remember there was an issue with a long time ago with a tenant that was very disruptive in a neighborhood. We had
I
to,
went back to 91 when with Capital Signet was the mayor. I couldn't find anything. I
Huh.
stopped doing it once.
I have no idea what happened to them. Could it be under the ordinance where you have to start at 7 o'clock to do any type of work?
That's-
6 o'clock rather? Because we had a problem with the garbage companies coming in at 4:30 in the morning.
Right,
Them-
and like the grass cutting, wasn't it like 7 a.m.?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if they combined it since, I know we had.
there might be something in there. Maybe we have to look.
I'm not doubting you, I'm just saying.
There's nothing tangible.
Hmm.
You know, I asked the magistrates, they don't have a copy, so, you know, we have to go with the criminal charge of disorderly conduct.
Versus what would it be?
Interesting.
It would be, this would be a state crimes code summary offense compared to a borough. Basically, any fine money that goes to the state, we give up small things compared to an ordinance violation.
Okay. I
I
feel
added it to your short term.
glorious.
To
Thank
mine,
you.
right?
To yours, yes, yeah.
Although I do want to
Okay.
mention again, like I don't want Kelly's committee to be an ordinance committee, so feel free to take the lead on it if you want to, but as things come up, if they are relevant to other committees, we will share that burden because it can be, as those of us who've been on the former ordinance committee know, like very laborsome.
Yeah, and another easy way to get familiar with the concepts of what would be in an ordinance is just to look around on the E-code 360s of other towns. And if there is one, it'll be there.
But to Tom's point, you might even want to think about, like, do you have certain areas that are zoned light industrial and stuff like that? Because I know that was a big issue, even in Oakmont, where Folinos is and everything like that. So we had to pass ordinances on light industrial not being noise and being over certain decibels and stuff like that.
So that would count for, I guess, the, what is it?
Right.
Dailies.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we actually like, because we actually had to involve sound people to come out and measure the decibels and stuff like that, so,
That decibel meter
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
gets a little complicated then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it has to be like over a certain period of time and stuff like that, but that to Tom's point, not only do you have the residential, but you have the light industrial.
No, but she was just talking about specifically about a commercial.
Right.
Light industrial.
Regular household stuff, like
Right.
that, absolutely.
Anything else, Kelly, on yours?
No.
Okay.
Or 17.
Okay. So Trish brought this to my attention and I love it. So this is the Eisenhower principle. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually have, I'm gonna make a printout of this and all the committees can kind of like utilize it.
Hey, Tracy.
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
but really quickly, John started us with the visual that was on the first slide. I'm gonna add a few things like contact information. I'll work with you on it. But I also don't want to leave out that we have a couple liaisons and we may be adding more, like we mentioned, Connect. Nancy, I'm putting you as the COG liaison, although John and I are happy to trade off attendance. Sylvia will continue as the ALOM, the Allegheny League of Municipalities liaison, as well as what I'm calling basically the community partnership liaison between the community and faith-based organizations that you are the go-between with us on. And again, as others come up, we can add this. This is basically a evolving document, so.
Yeah, no, good. Yeah, good.
Thanks.
So, okay, so Trish brought this to my attention. It's Eisenhower principle, and then it actually has evolved into like Stephen Covey, the 7 habits of highly effective people. But what it basically is when you're going to be outlining all of the things for your committees, you're going to look at these quadrants and you're going to look at different things. And, you know, most of the ones that we're talking about tonight will be goal planning. But if there's something that comes up to your committee, where are you going to classify it? Are you going to classify it as a crisis that's going to actually require some urgent attention? Or are you going to classify it as a distraction that may not be that important and may be non-urgent? or interruptions, which obviously are not important, but technically sometimes can be interruptions. That might be something from a resident or something like that. So we're gonna have these available for all the committees so that you can utilize them as you continue down the path of like organizing your committee and really trying to keep on path with everything that you're tasked with, which is a lot, as a council member. Trish, did you want to add anything to that?
You were so good, Tracy. Do you mind if we do perhaps an example applying the Eisenhower principle? We could talk about the noise example that was just
Yeah.
brought up or another one.
Yeah, whatever, let's talk about, yeah, the noise one just came up. So let's talk about that. Okay, so where would you classify that? The noise ordinance?
What depends on what time of year. Not that you can just produce an ordinance overnight, but getting close to July 4th, it gets pretty noisy. So I don't know if that's a crisis or an interruption or a distraction. But it's in that time of year, the first week of July or so, it's a little tough to just be a goal.
Okay, well,
Um,
it could be in the goal planning, but then 4th of July comes
It's
and
a
it's gotta move a little bit to the crisis or whatever, you know, and then obviously I interrupted you by saying that there's business ones too, so that's like a little interruption. It's not really important, but it can't, you know, it's definitely something that needs to be addressed maybe in the future or something like that. So that's a part of the noise thing. What would be a distraction? Somebody saying, I want to cut my grass at 6 AM, like, and that's not part of the ordinance, like,
Yeah.
and you have a resident that's beating down your door because they want to cut their grass at 6 AM, is that a distraction?
Well, I don't know. You can't just not deal with it, right? I mean, if we don't have an ordinance, it's hard to, they have to get creative.
Yeah, but the majority of the people want the ordinance,
Yeah.
you know, if there's just one off, that person, I mean, I don't mean to be like, you know, yes, you have to address that person and you have to address that issue, but is that
Yeah,
a distractor from what your main goal is what I'm.
that's an interesting point. Yeah, as we may categorize something as a crisis, but embedded there could be distractions related to that. But I was thinking of a true distraction being more like things that have come up that it's like Penn Hills is doing this thing and we're like, we're Verona, but you need to do X, Y, and Z. We're Verona. So that's one example I've encountered of a distraction.
Well, or Oakmont does it this way.
Oakmont does this.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's a distraction because you have to focus on your own communities. That's a good example.
Or depending on what it is, sometimes the school's issues we may or may not have anything to do with.
Yeah. Okay. Is everybody like, so you're gonna have one of these that you can kind of just play with? Like you're gonna get it like with your slideshow and stuff like that and play with it and, you know, utilize it and everything. And then the next slide is just real quick that we talked about DISC and we talked about next steps. So I shared all of your profiles with you. You know, I found, I know Trish finds this very interesting. I find this fascinating and it really does help people work better together. So we're going to do like another workshop to try to address different styles working together and everything like that. And the end of my presentation is just like, I think you guys, honestly, I'm seeing this from an outsider and I told Trish this. I think you guys as a council are really coming together and doing really good things. And I think that it's, I can see a world of difference working with you from like last year to this year and how things are just kind of coming together. So I think kudos to all of you. I think that's, you're doing well working together. So thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Are there any questions or comments for Tracy before she heads out? Just want to reiterate our thanks and gratitude again.
No, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to have this fun stuff.
Yeah.
It's just like
Moving on to item 7B, Tracy already mentioned the scheduling of the DISC Part 2. I just wanted to have a check-in. I heard from a few folks that there is interest in doing a Part 2. I just kind of wanted to throw that out there to the whole board. So Part 2 would be taking what we learned in Part 1 and applying it in between different styles. So for example, if you're a D-type person, a very dominant person, how do you interact with a C, a very conscientious, detail-oriented person, and so on and so forth. Thank you. So does that still sound like something that would be a worthwhile pursuit for council?
I don't think so. Personally. I'm just gonna say no.
Okay, so Kelly, you're not feeling in favor of it? Okay. Again, this would be like on our own time, utilizing the existing services that Tracy has, so there wouldn't be an additional cost. But it is still time, so I don't want to force anyone to do something that you don't feel is worthwhile.
If everybody was here, it might be worthwhile, but there's no point if everybody's not here.
Sure. Well, why don't we just go around and say whether or not we'd like to? Do you guys on there want to weigh in?
On what?
Whether or not you'd like to do a second disc workshop,
And follow up
a follow-up,
on how to, like, how to utilize what we learned from the first one in terms of, working with one another, communicating with one another. I mean, it's one thing to know what we are, but then what? Otherwise, it's, to me,
Mhm.
sorry for usurping, but it might help if, at least my understanding is to have that information is fine, but unless we figure out what we do with that information, I'm not sure what the point of having the information is. Like how we actually, like if I'm a C type and I wanna talk to or communicate effectively with an S type or an I type, how do I do that?
You could probably Google that.
Well, I hear what Nancy's saying. So right now we have some preliminary information, but it's sort of like it sits on a shelf, like how much
Yeah.
can we use it? Like, it's great to know about our style, but yeah, how do we apply it when we're interacting with one another? Or even members of the public. Sometimes you can tell one person's style right away, but
So does that help, Curtis?
That helps.
I'm also not offended if you say no. I want to get your feedback so that it's a worthwhile activity.
I feel like I'm in training all day whenever I do it, so I am gonna say no on it.
That's fine. And we can also like revisit down the road too. John?
I'm okay with it as long as everybody else says, I'm whatever the rest of the council decides,
Great.
you know.
And I know you and I are interested in it. Dave, did you find it a worthwhile pursuit?
It was worthwhile, but I don't foresee it to have another one, so I'd have to say no.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, that's my opinion.
You're welcome. You're entitled to your opinion, so.
I like that you have an opinion. That's what we're here for, not to all say the same thing.
Yes, correct.
So thank you.
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Kelly, for saying that. Sylvia, where do you fall on wanting to do more discs?
I'm a yes and a no.
Okay, that's fine.
When any.
Yeah, I mean, I think we table it for now and we could revisit it maybe in the fall when schedules are different or maybe different things have emerged that may make it more or less helpful. So that is good. Moving on to discussion item 7C. It has been brought to our attention that there is a means to have some assistance potentially with managing the Zoom. So it's not always following to our borough manager, as well as minutes, which may streamline energy, effort, and potentially cost on our wonderful admin, Teresa, as far as the minutes. We will be gathering more information. We just want to introduce the concepts, and I know I said more than I intended to. Would you like to add anything, Nancy?
Only that there is a woman that we've contacted who does this work for Oakmont. And we are attempting to contact her about meeting with us on Friday to see exactly what she'd be willing to do, when she'd be willing to do it. I haven't heard back from her yet, but.
Okay, I have a question about that.
Yes.
Why do we pay people to already do that? And we're gonna pay somebody else.
Yeah, no, fair
Money to
question.
be-
So essentially this would reduce cost overall because it would free up Teresa, who has more knowledge and expertise that could be applied in other ways. So like overall, it would reduce that
Yeah.
financial and other burden.
Like, for instance, Teresa will work a lot of extra hours.
Yeah.
Because doing the minutes takes up her time in the office and then she doesn't have time to do the other things.
Are we
Is that
talking,
why we use this video?
Yeah, but it takes time.
are we
It-
talking about her watching the
Yeah.
video and taking the thing
It
down?
depends. That's what we need to
Correct.
find out
Yeah.
on Friday. I think some of the time she could do it live. And then,
Right.
and then it, you know, it would be whatever that is, but. I
There
mean, you
is,
can do a cost analysis of it. It's just that it does take up Teresa's time. So then instead of her working her usual number of hours,
Which is presumably a
know.
higher rate than hiring someone to do
Yeah,
it for less.
there is technology for that. That could take the minutes. And in fact, I ordered my own technology that's coming in tomorrow. To take my own minutes at work. It's called Plod, and I'm not
No.
pitching it or anything
I
here
love
for
that.
here, but I'm using it. It's an AI thing that I'm using. Gonna be using it at work. I'm gonna try it at work,
So
but it takes down notes. You could take down notes. It literally records the notes in a meeting. And transcribes the notes and puts it all down on paper. Saves time and you
I
can go.
love this idea. If you want to
Yeah.
play around with it.
I
report
mean,
back
if I can monkey around with it, I'll see what I can do.
geek
Maybe
out
we
with
can-
it. Yeah.
But if it can save money and time,
But then you're gonna sign your name to an AI something? I mean, I talked to Springfield Borough Manager that, you gonna be in charge of that?
Also a fair
Potentially gonna have
point.
a lawsuit?
Yeah. Because when I've mentioned,
I like the idea, I'm just saying.
totally. When I've mentioned this, Jason, maybe to you or casually to Teresa in the office, she says that taking notes for the meeting isn't the same as just taking notes, that you want to make sure you capture actions and not other things like expressions and emotions and all the kind of noise that is also there. And so I'm curious if there's an AI specific for municipal meetings, question mark? Because that would definitely be worth pursuing. But please
I
keep
don't
us
know.
posted.
I don't know if other townships have used that
You know of any?
technology at all, but.
I know a few that are using, Zoom does that as well. Zoom has an AI companion right now that I think is still being developed. I mean, a lot of this AI is, you have to load up a few examples of what your minutes look like now. It starts to learn, what type of data are you are you capturing from meetings and things like that. I think it's still being developed. I'd be curious to see what you've got, John, though, as far as that goes. I've actually tried recording and using the AI companion on here, and it just captures way too much stuff that we don't normally put in our minutes.
Sure.
So there's a lot of deleting.
Probably have to do some
backtracking.
editing.
Right.
so
Yep.
by the time you finish editing the AI, you're almost spending the same amount of time. Maybe not quite as you do, just doing the notes. The idea with this woman, if she would be doing it live, would be that she could be taking the minutes as it's happening, and when the meeting's over, the minutes are done. And then we don't have to pay extra for Teresa to do the minutes. It's a lot less stressful on her of that particular. What's the word I'm looking at, that particular task is something she doesn't have to do anymore. But this is not a done deal. We're just looking into it because other towns are using people who provide this service to do
Sure.
their thing. Yeah,
I love all of this
yeah.
feedback, information, ideas. We should still get the information from Bianca, but I'm almost leaning towards doing experiment, John, if the one you're looking into checks out with Jason and legal things, we should do an experiment, see how long it takes if we do
Yeah. I don't want to implement. I mean, I'm gonna see how it works first.
a pilot.
Okay,
Yeah,
then
like a pilot.
If it works for me and see,
Yeah.
I don't know, but maybe, I don't know, but.
Cool. All right, if there are no other questions or comments on AI and meeting assistance, we'll move on to 7D.
Trish, I think something I would just add though.
Yes, Jason.
When we think about, the need for, additional support from the minutes and just meeting management in general. I think that, from my perspective, I mean, I've been sitting here with multiple screens, you're trying to monitor people that are raising their hand, you're trying to adjust volumes in the back, you're putting PowerPoints up. And I think, when folks are, you're doing all that stuff, I am there's no way I'm engaged in the meeting.
Yeah.
There is no possible way that you can be doing all of that stuff and I think really, I think thoughtfully being engaged. So I'm not saying that that's, the ultimate solution with, with all that. I'm just pointing out the fact that the person who's sitting in this seat right here is juggling a lot of things that are going on through that platform. And then when you're asking questions, I'm sometimes able to pay attention. Sometimes I'm just listening, right? But you're really not able, I think, to be fully engaged. So there does need to be some consideration, I just think, for what is happening with all of this technology. It comes at a cost. It really does. And I think some of that cost is what this position can give to the meeting and what and what they're going to offer. So it's just what I've experienced in my role playing around with this right now.
Thank you for adding that context.
Yep.
So we will report back with more information on that. Item 7G, update on junior council person. As most of you are aware, we are developing a process for a new program. We haven't had it in Verona before with the junior council person. So a current Riverview student who lives in Verona, who's interested in local government and getting involved, having a project, making